All right, guys, Mr. Prosix here with another great video. Today, we're gonna learn how to manipulate equations. So it's like our intro for elimination. So it's kind of like the baby step video. Again, my apologies. All my cuts went away from the one video, but now I got a bunch of new paper cuts. So I'm sorry, guys. These Band-Aids might be a little irritating. They might be a little distracting because how awesome they are, but whatever. Also notice I got some flash ones on there because I am as quick as a flash. Shh, don't tell anybody. But I'm a superhero. Anyways, jumping right into this. When we do elimination problems, we need to first understand what manipulating means. And I'm going to really talk about this really quickly. This is an equation. 2x plus 1 equals 3. You may have to, and you'll see why on the inside, you may have to change this up without actually changing the true value of this equation. What I can do is this. Notice I have a 2x plus 1 equals 3 inside parentheses, and I'm going to scale this one up by 4. And when I say scale up, it means I'm just going to be multiplying everything by 4. I can draw my little rainbows. Woo! Wee! Wow! And I'm going to make sure I multiply all of those things together. So 4 times 2x, that is going to be 8x. 4 times a positive 1, positive 4. 4 times 3, 12. I'm done. Be careful with your signs. Work slow if you have to. I just work fast because I'm a genius like that. Manipulating y's. And again, this makes more sense when we get inside because it's the foldable portion. But this case, I have 2y minus 1 equals 3. I'm going to manipulate this one by 4, meaning I'm going to multiply everything on the inside of parentheses by 4. And let's go ahead. 4 times 2y, 8y. 4 times negative 1, minus 4. 4 times 3, 12. And there I go. Notice I minded and I understood my sign had to be negative there. Don't forget about the signs. Use a calculator if you have to. And this one we'll just talk. So let's jump right actually into this. Here are a bunch of problems. Top one, the rules were to make the x's have the same number. So we're going to be manipulating the x's. When I say that, we want the numbers to be the same but opposite signs. So look at my x's. My very first problem. I got two equations, one top, one bottom. I have a negative 14x on top. I have a 7x on bottom. Those are not the same number. I want them to be the same number and also to be opposite, one positive, one negative. I already have one negative, one positive, so I kind of have that going for me. But I need to ask myself, and I always look at the smaller number and ask myself, how can I make it to become the bigger number? So 7, what can I multiply 7 by to give me 14? That's an easy one. I can actually multiply this thing by 2. And remember, once you do things to one part of the equation, you do it to the entire part of the equation, which is why I drew this parentheses here. And so let's do just that. My top equation, I'm not changing. Negative 14x plus 7y equals negative 28. That did not change at all. My bottom one, I'm changing. 2 times 7x, that is a 14x. 2 times a negative 1y is a negative 2y. 2 times a negative 1 is a negative 2. Notice, now when I look at my x's, I have a negative 14x on top, a positive 14 on bottom. If I were to actually continue this process and add these two equations together, this will jump out to be 0. Minus 14 plus 14 cancels out. It would eliminate, but that's in another future video. And so what I want you guys to do is try the next two on your own. We're going for x's, so try to get the x's to be the same number, opposite signs. Go. Okay, so for this one right here, how about you guys? If I'm going for x's, I looked at my smaller number, 5, and I want it to become 15. Well, that's easy, multiply it by 3. But there's a problem. This is a positive 15, and if I did this positive 5 times a positive 3, that'd be another positive 15. And if I want one to be opposite signs, I might as well do this. I'm going to multiply this by a negative 3, so that way when I actually multiply this, negative 3 times 5, I get a negative 15x. That way I'll actually have opposites. And notice my first equation I rewrote. My second equation, I just followed through. Negative 3 times 5x, negative 15x. Negative 3 times a negative 3, positive 9y. Negative 3 times 28, negative 84. And there we go. Likewise, over here I got my x's. They're both negative. So there's going to be an issue here, right? So I'm going to go ahead and do a 2 times negative 3x, 2 times negative 10, 2 times 2. And this is what I got. Negative 6x minus 20y equals 4. I rewrote my bottom equation because I didn't even touch it yet, right? But hopefully you guys are already screaming at yourself, Mr. Poskis, you made a mistake. Mr. Poskis, you're so dumb. Mr. Poskis, you're lame. Actually, I'm not. I did this on purpose. I look at my x values. It's looking good so far, but again, I have the same number, but they're not opposite signs, okay? And you might run into this situation. What I could do is this. I can just change it to a negative 2 now. And now I just got to go through this. A negative 2 times a negative 3, would that be a positive 6? Right, some of the signs are going to change. Negative 2 times a negative 10y is a positive 20y. And a negative 2 times a 2 is a negative 4. Okay? Now with this updated thing, right, because I caught my mistake, I now have x's that are opposites. If I were to add these together, they would cancel out. Now, you don't always manipulate x's. You can also do y's. So in this case, let's do a y1 together. My first problem, I look at the y's. I have a 7y on top. I have a negative 1y on bottom. I look at the smaller number because it's easier that way. 1 times what would give me 7? 7. So let's do that. Now let's try to catch this beforehand. 7 times a negative 1 is a negative 7. That is the same but opposite of positive 7. I'm good to go. So I'm going to rewrite my top equation because I didn't even do anything to it. It's not going to change at all. Now for the bottom, 7 times 7. Well, that's going to be a 49. Don't forget the x. 7 times a negative 1. That is a minus 7. Don't forget the y. 7 times a negative 1. 7 times negative 1 is a negative 7. And remember, when you guys are distributing, a lot of students, they're really good with multiplying the 7 times the x value times the y value, but they forget to multiply all the way to that final number constant chilling at the end there. So don't make that mistake. And so I want you guys right now to try these two on your own. I want you guys to get the y's to be the same number and opposite signs. So go for the y's. And a go. Okay, so just check our work. For the middle one, you should multiply by negative 2. That way, negative 2 times negative 10 is a positive 20y, the same but opposite of the y that was also given in the bottom equation. And this is what you should have got. 6x plus 20y minus 4. I reroll my bottom. That is ready to be solved. Over here, I got my top equation remained the same, but I multiplied my bottom by a negative 3 because negative 3 times 3x is a negative 9. Negative 3 times 5y is a negative 15y, same but opposite. And the negative 3 times negative 18, positive 54. Again, these two equations, my y's are ready to be canceled out. It is ready for the next step. All right, last scenario. And this is probably the most practical scenario down here. Make a variable have the same number but opposite signs. So in real life, when you guys are doing these problems on your own in the next couple of videos, you're just gonna have any choice you want. You don't have to do the x's, you don't have to do the y's, you do whatever's easiest. And when I say that, this is how you should approach a problem. Let's look at this first problem. I don't have same and opposite x's, I don't have same and opposite y's. I'm gonna look at the smaller versions and see what's easiest. Well, let's look at the x's. 6 is smaller than 9, so I asked myself, can I do 6 times the number to get 9? No. Not at least cleanly, I can use a decimal, but who wants to use decimals? So let's try the y's. I look at the smaller one, 4. Can I do 4 times something to give me 8? Yes, I can do it too. That's what I mean. So go through. One of them will be easy. One of them will be a little more difficult. If they're both easy, then you can pick and choose whatever one you want. But in this case, it would be easiest to do the y's. So let's go ahead and do that. Negative 8's up here. I want to do a positive 8. So I'm going to do times 2, but I'm going to do a negative 2 because 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. That's the exact same number. I want the opposite sign, so I'll do a negative 2. So watch this. First equation stays the same. The bottom equation, though, I'm going to multiply this negative 2 throughout. Negative 2 times negative 6, positive 12x. Use a calculator if you need to. Negative 2, whoa, excuse me. Negative 2 times a negative 4, positive 8y. Negative 2 times negative 2, positive 4. And there we go. These are the same but opposite signs. They're ready for the next steps in elimination. You guys are gonna now try these. Go for whatever one makes more sense. Do it. All right, guys. So these two. Now remember, you had choices. So your choice might not be the same as my choice, and it's still correct. So just because I did it this way doesn't mean it's the only way you had to do it. But here's my thinking. So I had my x's, a negative 1x. I can easily do 1 times 5 to get my 5. I could have worked with that. But the only reason why I didn't choose the x's is because the y is the same situation where it's just a 1 here. So I can just do 7 times 1 to get my 7. But it already had opposite signs. So that's why I went with the y's and not the x's. If you did the x's, if you did it correctly, you're fine, right? Don't worry about it. I just chose to do the y's. Now, I kept my top the same. I did 7 times a negative x to give me negative 7x. 7 times a negative y to give me negative 7y, and 7 times a negative 15 to get my negative 105. And again, guys, don't forget to multiply your number all the way to the very end. Now, you think I made a mistake right there, but really, a bug flew in my paper and I had to smash it, and then the guts were there, so I just kind of crossed it out. I gave myself another cut, by the way. And then I rewrote my number nice and cleanly. Last one. For this one, it was kind of obvious. For instance, the y's, my lower number is 2. I cannot do 2 times the number to get to 5, at least cleanly. It would need to be a decimal. I don't want to do that. But the 3, look, my smaller number, 3 times 2 can give me 6. And I chose a negative 2 because it's a positive 6 down there. I want a negative 6 on top, and it was already positive, so I had to throw that negative in there. So negative 2 times 3x, negative 6x. Negative 2 times negative 2y, positive 4y. Negative 2 times 2, negative 4. Bottom equation, I rewrote the same. It's now ready for me to continue and solve using the elimination method. So hope this video was fun for you guys. Rewatch if you need to. It's a little bit of logical thinking, but I know you can do it. Have fun, stay healthy, stay safe. Take care.